Welcome back to JoyLab. Aimee here. It's just me today. And we are at the end of our self-connection series. So for context, we're working on our element of inspiration. This is our last episode of our self-connection series. So our conversations in this series on self-connection have been around self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-alignment. And today we're talking about self-concordant or self-aligned goals. So it is the season of resolutions, or if you're like the majority of folks, it's about 3 weeks into January, and the vast majority have already given up on our resolutions. No shame. I want to touch a bit on why that happens, but mostly talk about how we can set goals that we are more likely to achieve. So here's this 2-step process for setting and achieving our goals that we're going to talk about today: fit and grit. So fit really has to do with goal matching. The goal matches us, our desires, our interests, our values, rather than goals that are created from guilt or shame or external pressures of some sort. And then grit has to do with a kind of sustained effort and resilience to keep going after that goal. Let's talk fit first. Fit can help us with our goal setting because goal setting that truly comes from our interests, our desires, from what we really want to achieve, we're going to be more successful at. These are sometimes called self-concordant goals, self-aligned goals. We talked about self-alignment last episode. So based on what we've been working on this month, we could say that goals that really fit us are created from a place of self-awareness and self-acceptance. 2 of the aspects of self-connection we've been working on. And so when we're feeling more self-connected, or when we've been working on our self-connection, these goals that really fit us can rise up just naturally. And I think they often rise up with a little spark of inspiration, a little light from within. So I'll link to a podcast that we did a while back on inner inspiration if you want to dive deeper into that, like spark. So now for grit, I want to lean on Dr. Angelou Duckworth's research here on grit. Dr. Duckworth identifies 4 characteristics of grit. The first is consistency over time. This is about having a big goal or these smaller goals that don't jump around all of the time. They're in the same vein. Second is perseverance amidst setbacks. This is kind of the grit that is easy to resonate with, like when we get knocked down, when we're blocked, we find a new path or new ways to work on that goal. The third is pacing and patience. This is the practice of working toward kind of bigger goals rather than just knocking things off a to-do list, so to speak. There's a kind of vision of something bigger and further off in the distance that is keeping you able to maintain this kind of grittiness, this perseverance. The last one is authentic and harmonious passion. This is really the fuel. We can be gritty. We can fuel those other characteristics when we really align with the goal. It's ours rather than a goal that we set and go after for external validation. So it's really coming back to the fit. We did an episode a while back on harmonious or obsessive passions. I'm going to link to that in the show notes. Very helpful here when we're thinking about goal setting, and a balance of energy toward how we go about achieving our goals. So when we think about fit and grit and the kind of grit that arises from self-connection, then 1, you can persevere because the goal reflects your authentic values. 2, you show passion because the pursuit genuinely engages you. And 3, you overcome setbacks because you're committed to something meaningful to you. All right, so let's get into how we can identify some of these goals that have fit and grit. Remember that tattoo we created last episode? If not, head back to episode 245 to do the many selves practice. And then episode 246, we talked about that values tattoo. So if you have your tattoo, or you can do it now, come back, it's likely there are a few pieces to it, a few aspects of how that value takes shape in your life. That's where your goal can come from. It may come from an aspect of the tattoo that you added because it's important to you. but that you struggle with. So for me, when I did my values tattoo actually last year, I like to do this kind of yearly, I identified more on what has to do with my energy expenditure, my give and take. How much energy am I putting out? How much energy am I taking back in? Because I was feeling a little unbalanced in my how much am I putting out? How much am I taking in? And so I really identified with sleep for that. It was an aspect of it. I had like a moon and sun, sort of identifying this energy of activity and rest. And so I wanted to put more attention into the rest period. And so sleep practices were something I was really focused on in 2025. I'm going to tell you more about that here in a moment, I think. So pause on that. All right. So you identify what that goal might be. The next step is to check in again and see if it fits. So you can ask some questions to see. For example, does this goal reflect your actual values or is it someone else's expectations? Another question, are you pursuing this from genuine interest or external pressure? Another question, does this goal account for your real circumstances and capabilities? Maybe a last question to consider, can you accept yourself as you are while working toward this goal? So if you can answer yes to those questions, and it's likely a good fit at this time, that goal is a good fit. And this is where some specificity comes into play. If this is a really big goal, maybe what are some smaller, simpler, self-concordant paths that can help you get there? How can you walk toward it in such a way that you can maintain grit? And the good thing about these tattoos is that they are not permanent. They are evolving. So even though grit suggests this kind of long-term perseverance toward a goal, it's very likely that your goals will shift. That's fine. The values can still be strong and serve as guideposts, and the way you play them out, the way you walk with them can change. And that's a good sign as well that your goals are responsive to your self-awareness and self-acceptance. So back to my sleep goals in 2025, I was really working hard and I was proud of myself. I was really working hard on these sleep practices. I gave up all caffeine, friends. It was torturous, but I did give up all caffeine, other bedtime ritual practices, and to no helpful outcomes. I was still sleeping really crappy. Finally did a sleep test and found out I have sleep apnea, moderate to severe sleep apnea. So my goals have changed as they relate to sleep practices and how that serves my energy expenditure. So now instead of these sort of like maybe more complex sleep practices that I engage at night, I've shortened them and I now use a CPAP, which I'm okay with because it's helping me sleep. So with grit, it's the same process. Like if I would just ignore the need for the CPAP and keep like adding more complex sleep rituals to improve my sleep, it's just not going to be helpful, right? So remember to keep checking in with your self-connection as you're applying persistent effort to make sure you're not just spinning your wheels or burning out. True grit is not about forcing yourself toward any finish line. It's about the sustained, passionate pursuit of goals that genuinely interest you and that genuinely reflect who you are. So I hope you can have some fun with these. So maybe whatever's happened, if you've set resolutions that haven't worked out, that doesn't matter. You can come back to those values tattoos or create one and see if there might be a goal in there that you can name for 2026. And it might not even be such a clear goal. It might just be that tattoo is a bit of your like North Star for 2026. And that this idea, for example, for me of energy expenditure is like just always something that you're keeping front of mind so that you can help guide choices and your decisions and the way you're moving in the world so that it's closer to that value. So I want to close us with some wisdom, some motivation from Maya Angelou. Here it is. You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it.
Thank you for listening to the JoyLab podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, visit JoyLab.coach to learn more about the full JoyLab program. Be sure to rate and review us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Please remember that this content is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to provide medical advice and is not a replacement for advice and treatment from a medical professional. Please consult your doctor or other qualified health professional before beginning any diet change, supplement, or lifestyle program. Please see our terms for more information.